This is the Soundcore Motion 300, and it's an interesting little speaker. Some disclosure first, this is a sponsored video, so this is more of a product showcase than a full-on review, but I only take on products that I think are very interesting and genuinely care about, and this is one of those products. I had the pleasure of reviewing the top-of-the-line speaker from Soundcore, the X600, a couple months ago, and this takes a lot of design cues from that speaker. High-quality build, metal grille on the front, strong speckled rubberized outer layer, rubber feet on the bottom, and a strong detachable strap on the side. Taking more from the X600, the top of the speaker is where you'll find all the buttons. On the left, you have the power, Bluetooth, and bass up buttons, and on the right, you have volume and playback controls. It features a USB-C port on the side for charging, which is protected by a very hefty rubber gasket. Onto the nerdy specs of this speaker. At the heart of this speaker, there are two full-range drivers, 15 watts per each driver, making this a 30-watt speaker. There are also dual passive radiators on the back to help with the bass. And with that stereo setup, the speaker also has wireless Highres certification. It features an IPX7 rating, which means it's rated for a 30-minute submersion in 3 feet of water, and what that translates to in real life is peace of mind around any water. You don't have to worry about bringing this speaker to the backyard, to the pool, to the beach, bringing it in the bath or the shower. This thing can handle it. I've been bringing this speaker to the beach with me, and it's had no problem handling the elements out there, something I was uncomfortable with doing on the X600. Continuing with the build quality and use case of this speaker, this is definitely a speaker that you can take with you on the go. It is meant for outdoor adventure activities, and Soundcore is advertising it that way. This thing can definitely withstand quite the beating. The most unique feature about this speaker is that it has an adaptive EQ based on which orientation the speaker is facing. The speaker can analyze if it's in standing, hanging, or laying position, and adjust accordingly, giving you the best sound profile for each position. This is such an ingenious idea and honestly makes the speaker even more versatile in so many different situations. In my own personal experience, I've found that I think the speaker sounds best when it's laying flat. This speaker also has a mic in it, which means that you can record your voice and take calls, a feature that is dying out on Bluetooth speakers like this, and honestly, I was really impressed with the quality of this microphone. It's not quite as good as your phone, but it's more than acceptable enough to have a phone call. So I have the speaker about 2 feet away from my mouth right now, and this is the kind of sound quality you can expect from this distance. I think it's pretty good, but then if you move it significantly closer to your mouth, you get obviously better sound quality. I don't know exactly where the microphone is in this because there's nothing protruding on the outside, so my guess is that it's on the inside of the speaker grill. But I think this is pretty acceptable. What do you think? One of the things I love about Soundcore is their EQ customization, and this speaker is no different. When you get in the app, you have the option to pick from various preset EQs, but you also have the option to dive into a custom 9-band EQ where you can really dial in your personal sound profile. This is my current sound profile for the speaker. I'm still tweaking it as I continue to use it. Because the speaker has adaptive EQ depending on orientation, you can actually see it in the app when you change the orientation of the speaker, but you can also choose to customize your own unique EQ for each orientation of the speaker. That's mind-blowing. So if you have the ear and the patience to dial in 3 separate EQs depending on the orientation, the sky's the limit when it comes to customization, and I absolutely love that. This speaker is Highres certified, which means it can play back lossless codecs, which makes sense because it's rocking Bluetooth 5.3 and the LDAC codec. I've said in previous audio reviews how the codec doesn't really matter, but if you are someone with a compatible device and higher resolution tracks, you are going to get more out of your lossless tracks because of the Bluetooth bandwidth on this thing. It's so nice to see how a product in this price range gets packed with a ton of high-end features. Battery life on this speaker is quoted at 13 hours, and obviously your mileage will vary depending on the codec and the volume you're playing back at. In my personal experience, I was getting more than 13 hours playback, mostly because I'm listening to the AAC codec and I'm usually under 50% volume. Obviously, all these cool features are rendered pointless if the speaker doesn't sound good. So let's run some audio tests for you to listen to. Obviously, listening through a YouTube video is never going to give you the full picture, but at least you'll get some sort of idea of how this speaker sounds. The sound quality on this thing is pretty good, and it definitely punches outside of its price range. Straight out of the box, I think it sounds decent, but after EQing it to my preference, I think it sounds much better. For a speaker of this size and price point, the bass is good, the vocals are clear, and the highs are sharp. With my personal EQ, I got it to sound more full and brighter and more in line with what my JBL Charge 5 and Motion X600 sound like. This thing does get quite loud. I usually listen to my music between 20 and 50% when I'm indoors. I don't really like pushing above that. It will definitely fill up a small room at that volume. When I'm outdoors, I do like to push the volume a little bit higher, usually around the 70% mark, and I found that this is plenty loud for outside, and also that sound quality takes a little bit of a hit after that volume. One little quirk that I found interesting on this speaker, when you push the bass up button, it doesn't actually increase the bass like it does on the X600, it just defaults to the bass preset. So if you have your custom EQ all set up and then hit the bass up feature, it's not just changing your personalized EQ to have more bass or less bass, it's then reverting back to that bass preset. So if you have your custom EQ just the way you like, I wouldn't usually enable this because your custom EQ sounds better than what the preset does. I do wish it was more in line with what we got on the X600, that it would just affect the bass levels of your own custom EQ, but the fact that this overrides it kind of makes it pointless in my mind. This product is so interesting because of where it sits in comparison to the competition. If we look at price alone, this thing is battling up against the likes of the JBL Clip 4, and that thing is a 5-watt speaker with much worse battery life, so it's not really a fair comparison. So in order to get a more equitable comparison, you actually have to go well out of its price range, somewhere in the $100 to $150 price range, and that already goes to show what a good value this speaker is. So when you put it up against the speakers in the $100 to $150 price range, you're putting it up against the likes of the JBL Flip 6, the Sony XE200, the Marshall Emberton, and probably the biggest comparison that a lot of people will be making is the Bose SoundLink. Now, although I don't have these speakers on hand to do a direct comparison in this video, I can tell you from my personal experience with these speakers in the past, the Motion 300 stacks up very well against them. While the other speakers may sound better in certain circumstances or with certain genres or specific songs, that higher price doesn't reflect the sound quality, and also it comes down to personal preference. The Motion 300 has a lot of features that these speakers do not have, and in my mind, I think it is an amazing value. For $80 or the early bird special of $65, this thing is punching way out of its price range. You get a ton of awesome features, a ton of customization, very good rugged build quality, and it's just a great overall package. If you're looking for a versatile speaker on the go, this one shouldn't be overlooked. Let me know in the comment section down below, are you excited about this speaker? Are you thinking of picking it up? My name is Mark Steiner, and I'll see you next time.